to our gold participants from around the world. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC Public Relations Manager and MC for Gold Learning. Well, I have the pleasure of chatting down with one of my colleagues and friends today, Laurie Isenstadt. Welcome, Laurie. It's great to have you back.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you.
And Laurie will be speaking at our upcoming Gold Lactation Conference 2017. And the topic and the title of her presentation is The Original Foster Mother Were Wet Nurses. Wow. That is, I just can't wait to hear what you have to say, Laurie. I'm very excited in what you discovered when you were researching this. But first of all, why don't we just start by reintroducing yourself to the listening audience today and tell them a little bit about how you first became interested in this topic.
Thanks for asking, Fiona. I am an IBCLC. I'm originally from New York and I'm living here in Phoenix, Arizona. This summer I will be married 37 years to Alan, and we have 3 adult children. Alicia's 32 and Jesse's 30 and Carly's 27. And I have been in a private practice for about 10 years. And I'm also a host of a podcast all about breastfeeding on iTunes, where I interview moms about their breastfeeding experience.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for that. So can you tell me a little bit about how you first became interested in this topic?
I became interested in this topic because a few years ago, there's been more of an interest of women who are interested in donating their milk and other moms of receiving the milk. When I first started in this lactation work 20-something years ago, there was almost always much more of an ew factor than there is now, but there still are people who think that there's something wrong with mothers donating or sharing their milk. And I realized that the moms now only really know what they know now, and they don't know the history of wet nursing. And I feel if they know that there is a history of wet nursing and cross nursing, that it may bridge the gap for people who may be somewhat judgmental or biased against milk sharing, if they know that it's actually only in the last 100 years or so that milk sharing was out of favor, and for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, it's how mothers fed their babies and how wet nurses fed other moms' babies, and that actually is the norm, and the last 100 years is more unusual. And the modern mom just doesn't know that. So I'm hoping to educate and bridge that gap.
Well, it sounds like that would be very important. I understand and respect, that this is something that, of course, was utilized, like you said, for thousands of years before we had other, substitute milks to use. And so it would be, to me, it sounds like we need to go back to our roots to understand how we got to where we are today, and to understand and sort of eliminate some of that fear mongering that can happen, in the field of healthcare and, lactation, so that we can really have a good foundation to make an informed decision in terms of what we do next. What do we do with that information? So I'm very excited to hear what you discovered on that journey, for sure. And I would love to know what really caught your attention, as being the most interesting factors during your research of this topic.
It was very interesting to find, what's that saying, that the more things change, the more they're the same. And
Yeah.
so, again, we work with a lot of moms who are somewhat judgmental towards, or the public, I would say, is somewhat judgmental towards women about how they feed their babies. And I mean, we're lactation consultants. We really want moms to breastfeed their baby, but we also know that some moms can't, or some moms choose not to. And there are some people who think that how horrible it is for a mom to not want to breastfeed her baby, or for what's it like emotionally if my baby is fed by another woman? What about that bond? Will I still be able to bond with my baby? And I think that there's a certain belief system about what it takes to bond your baby. And when we breastfeed our baby, we certainly bond with them. But I think moms who also bottle feed their baby certainly bond with them. Moms who adopt babies and maybe have their babies nursed by someone else also do bond with them. But a lot of people can't see that that's actually happening. And what I learned when reading about this from many years ago is that there were many babies who were nursed for several years by someone else, and there was a bond formed between the baby and the mom that was nursing the baby, but it still did not necessarily take away from the biological bond that a mother and baby had. And so I felt that that was one thing that was very interesting in what I learned, and that there was also, just like there are moms now that some people think kind of poorly of, like, how could she not want to breastfeed? There were moms for centuries, for various reasons, who they even had milk, but they decided not to breastfeed their baby. And so that's what I mean when I say the more things change, the more they stay the same, because there was many mothers for eons who decided not to breastfeed their baby, and they well could have. And there are moms now who decide not to breastfeed their baby, and they well could have.
Well, that's very interesting, Laurie. I feel like this topic could be very timely in terms of not only our mothers, but as healthcare practitioners, because as we become as we're under scrutiny to make sure that as we work in the field that we have biases. However, we also have a professionalism in order to support the community, and the mother that chooses alternative types of feeding, complementary feeding, whatever her choices are, but it falls back on providing that information so that she is making that informed decision. So very interesting. That's really piqued my interest today. I can't say enough about that, but I know I have to hold off and wait for the full presentation. So I'm excited definitely to hear more of what you have to say about that. So lastly, before I let you go, Laurie, perhaps you would just like to share a little snippet of what you're looking forward to or what you hope that the delegates will take away from your presentation.
I hope that they take away from the delegation. You mentioned the word professionalism, and I think sometimes because we are so passionate about the work that we do, that sometimes even I might lose a little bit of my professionalism because I want so bad for a mother to breastfeed her baby. And I'm always having to keep in the forefront of my brain, because the passion is so high,
Mm-hmm.
that mothers make decisions for different reasons, and that, of course, I cannot control it. We cannot control it. But also to just remember that we should not even want to control it. It's her baby, her breasts, her body. And I think especially in the United States anyway, and I know other countries, but the United States is really just the pits. Mothers are under such immense pressure to go back to work so soon. And this often has an impact on their ability to continue to pump and provide milk for their baby and to keep breastfeeding. And we don't know what's going on with another mother and her life. So I'm always looking for ways to educate myself and to remind myself about the need to be professional and to be able to meet moms where they're at and try and remove my own personal bias towards what it is I think that I would like for them to do. So I think in terms of what I'd like the delegates to take out of this is to just be able to keep that in mind and hear stories of women in the past and why women even currently might choose to have their baby wet nursed or to cross nurse with another.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm starting to see that there is the stark reality is that today really is a reflection of the past, and the past is really a reflection of today, in terms of the things that we're choosing, and now we're just coming to terms with making sure that everyone has the most up-to-date information so that they don't end up, making a poor decision for themselves that otherwise they could have made a better choice if they didn't have the correct information. And with no fear-mongering and, no poor evidence, but really with good professionalism from the lactation field, from the lactation consultants, and providing them with the information that they can choose what's best for them. Wow,
Yes,
Laurie,
and to
great.
just,
So
yeah,
good.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Was there something else you'd like to add there?
Yeah, I was just going to say also, like a prime example is we have so many more moms, thank goodness, who are um, doing some really excellent, loving things like adopting babies. And
Oh,
what's extending from that is the knowledge that they have about human milk and wanting human milk for their babies. And
right.
there's this connotation, like how should they get the milk? And the
Mm,
human milk banks are only going to give them right now to babies in need.
sure.
And so, how are they going to get milk? And so, to just educate the public about donating milk for all babies, not just for
Mm,
sick babies. So, adoptive moms really want the best for their baby too. So that's just another example of like
yeah,
opening up our minds and removing the judgment
totally.
about the whole issue of milk sharing and donation and wet nursing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. I can't wait for the full presentation upcoming here at our Gold Lactation Online Conference 2017. Laurie, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and I look forward to some more conversations during the conference, of course, and listening to your full presentation. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much. I am looking forward to presenting, and I am just like anybody else. I'm really excited to listen to all of the other speakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can catch Laurie at our conference. She is going to be on Tuesday, the 18th of April. Check the website at goldlactation.com for your local times, and that will give you an idea of what time it is. It comes up at your local time.